Hello and welcome to another special session of Bengal Volunteers. Today we are going to have a very special discussion on a very special subject called the Bengal at Crossroads. As you know, the month of June has played a very important role in the life of Bengalis. In 1947, in the month of June, or 20th June rather, the Indian state of West Bengal came to the fore through immense bloodshed, partition, and many other assorted events of violence. It had been thought at the time that this creation of Bengalis Hindu majority state of Bengal would prove to give great competence in the coming decades. But now, for 75 years of its formation, we are again in the midst of a deep crisis. What's the crisis? The Bengali Hindus are feeling that their days are getting numbered. The demography is being encroached day by day, while the central and state governments remain or prefer to retain the word silence. So Bengal is definitely at the crossroads. With the falling economy, with an endangered populace, we are trying to see whether there is anything for us in the future. And to have a very good discussion on this, we do have a very special guest with us. It's a Supriyo Bandyopadhyay. Supriyo, thank you very much for coming to the show. Good evening to you, sir. Supriyo has been a journalist, a columnist, he's a thespian, theatre stage personality. He had stayed a considerable amount of years in Europe. He had traveled almost the entire globe. Now he's back in Calcutta. And we are going to have a very serious discussion on this subject. And it must be stated at the very same time that before we were going to begin the show, we were having a little chat. And I found that Supriyo is deeply worried. He's terribly worried of what's happening in the state. Now let's begin the journey of today. So begin with Supriyo, in the month of June, 20th June of 1947, West Bengal came to fore. The Hindu majority population state that was designed at the time. Now for 75 years, we think we are in the midst of a crisis where we find, when you go through the pages of social media, we do find that people are quite disturbed, the people are quite annoyed and terrified. So do you think we, the Hindu Bengalis, have failed to act responsibly in the 75 years? It's my first question to you, sir.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Onimitra Chakraborty, Sri Onimitra Chakraborty, for giving us the platform here to talk about the most important issue which we should address on. We should have addressed on. It's very important that you have raised the issue. And given the situation, this is the most important and vital time when we should talk about it. Well, we are at crossroads. There is no question about it. It is not the doubt that we are on crossroads. The thing is, we have been on this crossroads since long, and we cannot make our mind because of the ill treatment with us what have happened since over the years. This is one of the most important issues for which we are suffering, and we had to stand there in such a point, which I think is a repetition of the history. A couple of days before, in a discussion, I was in such a webinar or show, I was talking about the same issue, and I was telling them it was a different issue we have been discussing, but I was telling them that, well, we sometimes see when the history repeats itself. You have been talking about the time of the independence or before the independence, because this is the month of June when we got a new state called West Bengal. And just imagine and remember, since the year 1934 to 1947, these 13 years, a very disturbed time for the history of Bengal. And these 13 years are being repeated absolutely in the present time what we are facing in Bengal. We are basically at the verge of losing again another part of our body. And that body is not Bengal itself. That body is basically Bharat. And that is going to be the biggest loss if that happens. And this plan has been hatched since long, and every particle of the plan is working very well. And that's why the functioning is very good, and they are progressing very fast. If you look into the situations, what is going on here, just look at your administration first and find out who are the people there who are sitting on the top, who are the people there who are sitting in different districts and even in blocks. Who are they? What kind of machinery is functioning behind each and every election since long here? That since the time the election date is announced, do you know how many of the voter cards are absorbed by one particular party by their cadres, and these are kept? As because I travel to the villages, I'm connected to my roots, so I know how do they suffer, and they say it very openly. This is what is going on. Onimitra, I don't know if I have made
So
I'm sorry.
Yes, okay. Are you referring to the Panchayat election in the pipeline? Are you referring to the Panchayat election in the pipeline?
Exactly.
That means,
I'm
that means
referring
you
to the forthcoming Panchayat election. Yeah, I'm referring to that. Actually,
okay.
Onimitra, I don't know why, but your sound is making a little trouble. I cannot hear you good. Can you please check it out?
Well, okay, just a minute. I think it's a problem, maybe technical problems. I'm sorry. But now my question is very simple, sir. Do you think that this Panchayat election is going to be infested with mindless violence like the previous years? Do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think you have been noticing since long. I'm talking about last 6 months or so, that there have been an enormous volume of explosives being found in different districts of Bengal. Why these explosives are stored for? What is the intention of this? This is to scare the people. Whatever the situation of Bengal BJP is here, they are the only enemy, because other parties are all together. They are together. So there is only one enemy, and that is BJP. I'm coming to that issue later. But the point is, I am noticing that there are a lot of explosives being found. And even the quantity, can you imagine? Can you imagine? A couple of weeks before, there was police seized some explosives like RDX, and what kind of quantity it was? Huge, like a military base. That kind of explosives are there. And since there are a lot more which are undiscovered still now. What do you think they will do with that? What do they do during the election? What is the history of the Bengal regarding elections? What is that? That is always a lot of people are going to die. There is always huge scandal, huge kind of violence and killings, and a lot of things will happen. Already there is somebody, some sheikh has died in Murshidabad, the district Murshidabad. There is the first, he is the first actually offering for the Panchayat election. It has started, the bloodbath will take place like every other election here. This is the picture of West Bengal. Unfortunately, in all other states, like even in Bihar, there is not no such a situation. But in Bengal, yes, this is the situation. Here's the situation because all coward people, they who live here and they cannot have a kind of spine to resist. They have no preparation to that. They have no physique. They have no mindset. Sorry, Animitra. Please go ahead.
Supriyo, today in the morning, I was going through the video of our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji that he made after the last elections. And the video is bound to lambast the reigning TMC government and stated very clearly that all parties except TMC turned out to be the victims of the governmental atrocities. Now, after 5 years, now, what should be the role of central government?
I don't know. Something is going wrong. I couldn't hear you after the even. It was very hard to understand what you were trying to talk about, but I could hear you up to the role of state government. That's what you said, or I couldn't hear you good. Can you please repeat?
Let me just a minute.
Hello. So I think Onimitro has some trouble, some technical trouble with his connection and something like that. But what he was trying to say, so far I understood from the question of Onimitro, that he wanted to say that, well, what should be the role of the state government? Well, this is all a kind of machinery. It's functioning along with one with another. It is like a huge machine. Somebody told me, I think many of you know about Leo Tolstoy, and Tolstoy is one of my favorite writers. And Tolstoy once wrote that this entire world is like a huge machine functioning, and this machine has different parts. Some parts are vital, some parts are important, but actually every part is important. Actually, every part is important. If you take out one little bolt, you may be that little bolt, but that if that bolt is taken out, then the machine will, a part of the machine will collapse within very short time. And this is basically what is going on in the system now. It is functioning like a machine. You can see before your eyes that in last 1 year or even more than that, what did we see? What did we observe? A lot of people got arrested. Lot of heavyweight ministers. Lot of blah blah blah. They have been arrested, kept behind the birds. Some of them were called Veer, a hero, and that was called about him, who actually is caught by ED, and the reason is simple, that he is a kind of cow smuggler. Very petty thing, but it's not petty thing. It's a matter of thousands of crores of Indian rupee, and that's what he did. Now, could they do anything after arresting that guy? It is months, weeks passed by. He's not getting bail. His daughter is also in the jail. So what? What has happened? What is the impact out of that? What is it? What did they find? What could they do? So what is actually going on? Now the election has been announced within no time, within no, no preparation for the opposition, for the other parties. they might have preparation for their own, because this guy have been hovering around the Bengal. I don't know what is his capacity, but he is somebody. I'm not going to name. I don't want to take name. I want to ignore. As simple as that. Because I don't believe that he should be pointed on. As much as I am concerned, I have no reason for it. As simple as that. Forget. So they have got the preparation of their own. And that's why they could offer you, if you are an opposition, if you are another party, if you want to submit a nomination, you get only 19 seconds of the time from the election commission to get your nomination. 19 blah, blah, blah seconds. 19 seconds you have to submit your nomination. If it is cancelled by that, you are gone. So how come you become a candidate? Well, High Court told it, well, it's not enough time given for that. Already a date has been announced. So you have to take preparation for that, and you are unprepared. And that's what their plan was. So entire missionary work, like as Tolstoy said, if you take out one little bolt, it will not function. There is always another substitute for that bolt, and that's why if this guy is behind the bars, even if his daughter is behind the bars, even some of the ministers are behind the bars, even the entire administration part of it is behind the bars, still the system is functioning, and still that is one of the major failures of the so-called opposition in Bengal, and that's why Bengal is standing on the crossroads. Onimitro, it's your turn.
So my question is to you, sir. What you say, there has been an apprehension of this from previous some years back. There has been an apprehension. If anyone says that there is no apprehension, the person is a liar. This is a fabrication of truth. There had been a fabrication. So my question is to you, sir. What was the opposition doing at the time? Why didn't they approach the Election Commission of the Honorable Governor beforehand? Why didn't they approach the central government or the President of India? Now, when we are talking of the powers and everything, so what was opposition doing at the time? I am not talking, I am not referring to any particular party. I am talking the entire opposition, with left and right. They are found to spread in the social media. They are found to make all of the victim party social media pages. But where are they in the field? This is my last question to you. What are they in the field? Why are they in the field?
This is a very, very simple thing. If you look at the politics of last couple of months here in Bengal, not even couple of months, couple of weeks, there have been given, I mean, from the ruling party, they have been given enough opportunity for the opposition to launch a kind of movement, to launch not one, but lots and lots of movements they could do, but they have been doing nothing. They're all the time sitting calm, even talking about among themselves and not getting into the proper proposition. That, you know, Bengalis are born with a stick at their hand, and that is being used even inside the party. Things are coming out, people are talking about it. All together, it's a very, very, very gloomy and bad situation. So, Mr. Onimitro, you cannot really find anything which you can talk about, discuss about. And you have been asking, what have they been doing? This is what have they been doing. And they were loitering with Delhi. Who can go more nearer to Prime Minister if he comes up here? Who can go more nearer to Amit Shah? Who can have some lobby, blah, blah, blah. So what is the difference? What the heck? You remember what was the situation of Congress even a couple of years before? Forget about now. What was the situation? No. Did anybody care for them? No. But they existed. This is what is going to happen with Bengal opposition party, so-called.
So what's the left? What's the left?
This is a very how to say, it's a very sad but very positive on the other side. situation. Why positive? Because if this happens, if again another failure comes and arrives in a couple of weeks from now, after the panchayat election is over, if you can see that, well, your grip has even become more looser than before, then you will not be happy with them anymore. Whatever happiness you still have, you will not have that anymore. If you are a thinker who wants a change in this situation.
Now let me ask Supriyo one very particular thing. It's a question of mine. It's my query to you. For the last 1 decade, the saga, the chronicles of Hindu nationalism is being found in the Bengal politics. It's known to us. From 2013 to 2014, 2023. It's almost a decade. In almost all this decade, in a politically very sensitive state like Bengal, each and every political party does represent a special political mindset or political philosophy, with the left or the centrist or in the rightists. For the first time, I am saying that in any situation where the state government's duties force provide a plethora of issues to the opposition fails to take a single note of it, number one. Number two, while the rank and file of the political philosophy of Hindu nationalism have sufficient confidence or more than sufficient confidence on the concept of God say, the leadership is found to take refuge at the Gandhi statue at every hour. I have never seen such a finest contradiction in my life. And number three, we till now, whether we do discard the left or lambast the left, it's a reality. The Trinamool Congress is a part of the leftist school of thought. So my question to you, sir, where the hell is the Hindu nationalist school of thought in Bengal's mainstream politics? What the hell is it? Have you got the question, sir?
Can you please repeat your last sentence a little bit slower? Your last sentence. Why the Hindu nationalists?
And my question is, sir, where the hell is the Hindu nationalist political philosophy in Bengal's mainstream politics?
Hindu nationalist, again please.
Where the hell is the Hindu nationalist political philosophy in Bengal's mainstream politics? What is it?
Okay,
we find Hindu nationalism.
Got it. Thank you very much. It was a very nice and expected question, which I have been thinking about. Why you not ask? Why an intelligent guy like you is not asking this question? Well, it is a kind of fallacy. Actually, the generation what we are passing right now, as per the UN description, it has been decided that you are young until a certain age, and you are pre-old, and then you are old, etc., and that is quite huge. On the other side,
there's a loss of connection, I think.
Hello, is it okay? Can I go ahead?
Fine.
Yes. This is what actually happened in this situation here, what we have been discussing about. Let's call a spade a spade. For generations, this has been planned so that the education cannot come to that particular way, so that you don't know what your route is. And the generation now, they even cannot spell a word properly, even in their own language. They cannot read or write Bangla. Forget about English. We have been studying in normal Bengali medium government schools. Myself, I've traveled over 46 countries in the world. I never have any problem with anything. I could manage with my government school education. It's a good school. Still now it's a good school. And the students like me, they came out from there. So But what is the situation now in the education? You see that. Who started that? It was the leftists. They decided to make a way for the English medium schools in different areas. They decided to actually break down the education system of Bengal, which has been quite good since 80s. Since 80s, it was the mid of the 80s, it was the make way for the English medium schools. And that was the beginning of the end of our education system. Now, how many students go to the normal schools nowadays? Nobody does. If that is not a very renowned school like Hindu or like Bardwan Municipality School or even Durgapur Municipality School, these schools are famous schools. Students go there. But other than that, everyone goes to the nearest English medium, spending a lot of money, and entire education system has been collapsed. There is nothing, we know that was a pre-planned thing. So people who are uneducated, people they who don't know what is their root, how can we expect from them that they will understand what is nationalism, what is Hindutva? Why they will understand that? How do you expect it from them? They have no idea about it. And that's why the number of love jihad is happening here in this state. Much more than any other places. We don't know them. We are not being able to be informed. We have been cut off from the main source of information. Media is listening to some particular nexus. There is no media functioning really like a media. All are yellow journalists. So if the fourth column is not functioning, and democracy has already been collapsed since long, jurisdiction doesn't. One man speaks out and immediately he has been banned somehow or other. There are a lot of obnoxious oppositions. Even judges are being attacked. Isn't it anarchy? Can you please recommend me the pages from Plato's description about anarchy? Can you please recommend me Socrates, what he called, what anarchy was? I can read you line by line. And that suits with the situation what we see around here. Am I wrong?
No, I think you are quite pretty correct. So according to you, Supriyo, Bengal is in the grip of a Masanai. I think I'm using the word correctly. It's Masanai. Okay. So exactly. In any Masanai, be it the age of Chanakya, or of the Guptas, or of the Pratapaditas, Ranapataras, or even the Agni, there have been revolting schools of thought. Even the Hindutva that had come in the 19th century, 20th century, but I'm saying 19th century in Bengal, it had been a forerunner of the Agni Yuga. So my question is that, what is the essence of Hindutva in the national Bengal politics at the moment? I would like to know, I would have to have a very clear answer from you. Is there any essence of Hindutva, or is it nothing but a drama going on in the name of Hindutva? Please give me this answer.
Onimitra, I am extremely sorry, but your audio is so broken. I couldn't really get your question. It is a real situation. Can you do me a favor by sending it to me to my WhatsApp, so by a voice call, voice.
Okay, voice just a minute. Now can you hear me?
Yeah, now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, please.
Fine. Okay. So let me put off my camera. Okay.
Okay.
I think sorry, in the last minute it's a very beautiful linkage and everything. I don't know what's the problem today. So my question to you, Supriyo, is that very simple. In any school of in any anarchy, there is also found to be a revolting school of thought. Be it in the end of in the age of Chanakya or the Guptas or the Middle Ages or even Agni. But my question is, when we do talk of Hindutva or Hindu nationalism, it does also consider the state as a whole. So do you find any essence of Hindutva in national Bengal politics at the moment? Or is it nothing but a charade or a mere drama what's going on today?
Thank you, Animitra. I could get your question. Almost I could get you. So far, I understood that if I can see any reflection of Hindutva, well, there are in certain phases of the society, in certain sects and sectors, there are kind of rise. There is no question about it. In the other sides, people are still confused because of this long drawn field practice of leftism, which has been stopped us since long to go to our roots, to know our knowledge, to know our people, to know our history, to know our epics, to go deep into our shastras. They never let us do that. And the ultimate result was very, 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 very bad. It was like a debacle. And the debacle is very hard to come up with. This is what happened with the people from generations to come. I will remind you of one of the scenes from the film, which is called The Kashmir Files, where the daughter is saying to the father, to the ex-communist father, that dad, you showed me those films. You always told me about all these things, that all the religion or all these things are bogus, these are bad. You shouldn't learn about your religion. You shouldn't go think about your religion. Whatever people say, and these things are absolutely useless, mindless. Why did you say to me like that? And this is the question of the people who are asking to their parents. Well, what did you taught us? What is the teaching? It was wrong. But how many of them? Well, time is coming. And that's why that film has been banned in this state. Nowhere in the country other than this state. And it was banned, and finally it was released again. She knew that it will be released again. Or her people knew, or the missionary, which I have been talking about. It's a very well controlled and pre-planned, preoccupied missionary. Every little step they take, everywhere there is a pre-plan, there is a side plan B, plan C, etc., etc. You'll never see that this party, they who are ruling West Bengal now since third term here, now they are not stupids. You may be a stupid, not them. And the moment you start thinking about your enemy, that my enemy is stupid, or my enemy is very weak, well, you are wrong. This is what is the essence of, in my opinion, Bhagavad Gita. So these people are very cunning, very well planned, and they are always prepared for you to combat you and to fall you flat.
So my question is to you: What does prevent nationalists from being so efficient? Why are the nationalists not sufficient?
I cannot hear you. Can you please be a little bit slower, a little bit slower? Nationalists?
Why are nationalists not so efficient?
Not so?
Efficient.
Efficient, yes. Because they are not organized. Animitra, I told you a couple of days back, or maybe even today we have been talking about it, and I told you that I do travel into the villages a lot. If I live for 20 days or 15 days in the city, then for 10 days or 7 days I'll be in my village. So when I go to the village, I can talk to the people, I mix up with them, and I see what is it going on. And what do I see? That there is a party which is coming very hard, and they are going up. They are called Communist Party of India, Marxist, CPIM. They are doing well in the villages. People have started talking about them. So you can see, the thing is that these people are not organized. They're all the time fighting with each other with different little plans. They're always fighting. They're busy in that. It's a basic rule of the world. If you fight among yourselves, if you're never organized, that is the best situation for your opposition. And the opposition knows it very well, that they're fighting among themselves. They have no backbone to stand together, and they will not. There are 20 different organizations called We Are All Standing for Hindutva. Okay, good. Why don't you 20 guys come together and make a huge giant of your own? No, they will never do that. And until they do that, the situation will never change. It will never ever change. Not possible. And you were asking about the weakness. Yes, this is the major weakness, number one. If you think about the leftists, do you know how organized they are still now? How many percentage they are? What is their percentage of vote on Mitra? How much? How many percentage do they get?
Very roughly 2 point something else, I think.
2 point something. Still, yeah. Look at the organization they are running into different districts and every block. Still, they have the organization. And in Panchayat election.
But sir, when you were talking of there are 20 organizations of the Hindutva, but the left are also very fragmented in India, especially in Bengal.
Every time you will try to organize them, there shall be different issues on which they will fight. I can give you one example for very, very petty issue. I really feel ashamed of talking about it. Last 2-3 days, there was an issue going on with 2 women. And you know, when women start talking about different things, I mean to say, that involves obviously sex, that involves scandal, that involves a lot of other things, I mean bad talks about people, etc., etc. So one woman was talking about the other woman was talking about the other, and it was like, you know, washing your dirty linen in the public. So some of my friends, they were there, they have been talking, somebody was in favor of her, somebody was in favor of the other one. And I couldn't really withstand that they have been talking about a guy who was a candidate of 2019 MP election, I mean parliament election, and then later on he was again a candidate in 21 last assembly election, and that guy was the center of attraction about these 2 women, and they were been talking. And when women talk about this, then how dirty it can be on Metro. And all of them, I know them, all of them are Hindutva, so-called.
No, but what do you suppose the main fault? The lack of ideological conviction, or there is complete immaturity in the nationalist politics?
Beg your pardon.
I would like to know you from sir, what do you consider as the most culpable, blameworthy object? There is completely a lack of ideological conviction among Hindu nationalists, or the Hindu was too immature for doing politics these days. Immaturity. What do you hold responsible? Most immaturity.
Your audio is really horrible, Manimitra.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what problem, sir.
Audio is
Just a
really
minute.
horrible. I cannot
All
get
right.
you.
Just a minute. Now you can hear me. Now can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Little bit better. Can you be a little bit slower?
Okay.
It
Okay.
cut your sentence into pieces and then
Okay.
speak one after another.
My question to you, sir. What do you hold as mostly responsible for this entire fiasco that you have stated just now? Is it a immaturity or complete absence of ideological conviction?
The second one. The second one, Manimitra. At the same time,
Why?
because
Why?
they never have taken the thing seriously. 2019 was a kind of how to say. I mean, I want to say that well. It was the year of Modi. 2019 BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, the largest party in the world and the largest democracy is being served by this particular party since last 9 years now. Next year is our next parliament election. We know that 24 is going to be a very crucial year for India, but well, Bharatiya Janata Party definitely will do as expected very good all over India. That includes South, yes. Even speaking about Karnataka, people have come to know what is the situation. I'm not talking for the in favor of the party, but I'm talking in favor of the situation. But unfortunately, the moment you look into this particular state like West Bengal, why this thing happens all the time? Why there are some stupid people they who come in like floodgate and they swim into the dirty water and then they catch up few things and then they again swim back. What is this going on? Is it a political party? Is it an organized party like Bharatiya Janata Party, which is running nearly 16 to 18 states all over India? That's not a matter of joke. It is running the central government. That's not a matter of joke. It's running efficiently every ministry. That's not a matter of joke. So to say, why this will happen with this state? Because this state has been given for granted. Shall I go ahead to tell the reason why? Onimitro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Let me make it very clear to you. As a journalist, I should maintain my position that well, I'm not in favor of anyone. I don't care. Nobody gives me my plate of food. Nobody gives me my house rent or my electric bill or anything. So everything is on me. It's myself. I have to do. So I don't care for any political party. I really give it a damn. I give it a damn. Who you are, I don't care. Thing is, Bharatiya Janata Party now needs to clear up Congress from all over India. And for that reason, they will go to any extent. So, if you talk about the democracy, world's largest democracy, then you have to maintain the democratic structure. For that, you need an opposition. And that an opposition was Congress since long 70 years, 73 years, 74 years, since 75 years. Yes, it was Congress. no, 74 years, I can say, 75th year, we are seeing that, well, Congress has been flushed out from most of the states. They're gone. There is no option they can come back. Karnataka was a case of different thing. It was religion and all, and it is gone. These states are gone. In South India, there are a couple of states which are not really under control, like Kerala, Karnataka. But the other states, they who are coming back to the mainstream of Bharat, and this is what is we are saying the total assimilation. Well, this assimilation will not take place in couple of places like Delhi. Why? I need an opposition under my nose. And that is called Mr. Muffler. With a jharu at hand, I mean, Arvind Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi. We have another example. You have example in Bihar. You have example in Bengal. The most important example, who is projected the next Prime Minister of India. And these oppositions, sir, absolutely, they do only one thing. What do? They go to different places, they fight the elections. They are the enemy of for Arvind Kejriwal, for example, you cannot believe him for anything. In the morning when he's up from the sleep and he makes a call to Rahul Gandhi and says, well, chalo yaar, hum dosti kar lete hain, kaal se hum ek sath baith jate hain. So he takes the attention of Rahul Gandhi. In the afternoon, he calls again and says, hey, तुम लोग तो मक्कार हो यार, तुमसे हम कैसे दोस्ती रखेंगे, तुम कौन छोड़ देते हैं. So in between, Congress has announced that, well, Arvind Kejriwal is coming with us. But later on, he changes his mind like a lightning. So this is basically the thing. That these parties has to keep with a good proposition so that you cannot call anything against it, that the democracy is functioning. Lot of different, the regional parties, political parties. You go to US, you go to UK, you go to Germany, you go to France, you go to Denmark, you go to Sweden, anywhere you will never find a political parties there who are regional. Nobody cares for the regional party. There are no regional parties in any of the civilized countries of the world, excepting in India. And these things are being propelled up constantly by the central government because they want the opposition to be in the blocks in different parts of the India. And they shouldn't be together like a complete opposition. And if that happens, then our clutch is gone. So this is one of the plans that keep them. Bengal is being kept. You remember, I don't know how to explain it. In our childhood days, it was whenever we were sick from any stomach upset or something like that, they were not the times of antibiotics so much like now. So it was like we used to have always all the time like water tank in our bathroom, in our shower room, and this water tank was filled up with water, and we used to keep some fishes there, and they are called geolmach, living fishes like magur and some other fishes. And these political parties are like those geolmach, that fishes in different parts of India, and they are actually pondering, hovering. They're going to Goa, going to Meghalaya, going to some other states for the election. And what they're doing basically, and why they will be disturbed? You think? For you, for me, no. They want the massacre. They want it to be happy, and they will never take the charge of this state. At least another 2-3 years. No way. Now the most important point is 24 election, and for that, nothing will happen before that. Whatever you expect, you can expect. Whatever you are seeing through the process going, oh, tomorrow there will be something, day after tomorrow there will be blah, blah, blah. 29th there is a date, 30th there is a date, blah, blah, blah. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Let us make it very loud and clear about the entire situation. 24 is a absolute the most important election of the time. I mean, after 5 years, 2019 was a flying colored victory, and 24 is a challenge. Not very much big challenge, but still it is a challenge. An election is an election is an election at the end of the day. So for that, there shall be no taking step like 365, 364. No way. This anarchy will run, and this is the fate of the state, what we invited, what we wanted, and now whatever we deserve, we get it. We received it. Now there is no go back from this scenario. Whenever once you are in the hell, you cannot say no to the fire. This is the basic situation now. You are in the hell. You cannot say no to the fire.
So what should be done now?
What should we do now? If we cannot become together, if there is no connection in between the organizations, they who think they are working for the good of the humankind and for the culture they belong to, if they want to be together, if they want to turn back, even a worm turns back. There is an English proverb, old English proverb. I think you remember about that. Stanley Leacock has a very famous essay called "Old Proverbs Made New," and out of that, in that one of the proverbs was that even a worm turns back. Even a worm, a small one, if you push it to the end of the wall, and then at one point it will turn back with its little capacity. And that little capacity should be together. If there is no togetherness, there is no relief from this particular scenario. And I believe that has to happen. And for that, you have to be prepared. You have to be strong.
That's correct.
Shall I say something, Animitra? That you guys can observe me or observe Animitra here. This guy here. That even I am much older than him. He is still young, very young. You can see that we are very well built. And this is something we also need. We have followed. Our culture, our basic strength, the strength of this particular nation. That has to be remembered.
So are you talking of the re-emergence of the masculine Hinduism?
Exactly, the masculine Hinduism. This is something which I really prefer for. I will opt for. If we cannot do that, our fate is awaiting, and there is as simple as Kashmir, what it was, it will become even more violent, because it is not Kashmir, it is kind of different. The absolute character is different here in this state.
Okay,
it will be difficult for us to.
I would like to ask you one thing more. In this case, I would like to have you analysis. You have been to Germany for quite a number of years, might be 2 decades. Well, Germany is a strange land that got devastated in the Second World War, but managed to come back to the industrial economic position within 1.5 decades. That was within the mid-1950s. There had been the rape of Berlin in 1947 by the Soviet soldiers. In 1918, the Versailles Treaty was perpetrated and imposed on the Germans, and it wounded the German psyche to such an extent that they went for a vengeance against the rest of the Europe in the Second World War. On 2 occasions, Germany retreated and came back with a banging presence. So my question to you You have witnessed the Germans from very, very close quarters. In 1947, the Bengali Hindus witnessed one of the most nefarious tragedies, and from then on, we have been witnessing bloodsheds only to innumerable genocides. So my question to you, what's the difference between the German psyche and the Bengali Hindu psyche?
I will take you to, thank you for this question, Animitra. I will take you to one of the other nations of the world which suffered the same kind of situation, that was Korea. Couple of years before, there was an incident. I've been working with the United Nations that time, that both the Koreas, I mean from the north and the south, there are a lot of families there who got separated because of the separation of the countries, because of this dark world. It is still now. And North Korea, as you know, it's one of the most violent countries of the world and very bad, and they have got bad reputation as well. So North Korea opened the border, and South Korea also, the family members could meet each other. That's what happened. And it was under the observation of United Nations, and for that reason, we also took part into the situation, not in that directly in the field, but from other areas, like in Seoul, we have been stationed. And I can remember about the scenario, it was really, really nice. Same thing happened with Bengal, because it got partitioned into two. I mean, William Radcliffe made a kind of patch in his Spain, and that happened. Simply, it was two different countries. One is Pakistan, the other one is Bharat or India, so-called India. So this difference, I mean, like this East and West Berlin, I mean the East and West Germany, and one city, particularly one city, Berlin, it was just made a wall in between, and both sides were, and there are a lot of constantly there were a lot of armed guards and everything. It was a huge situation over there, very much inhuman, I would say. This inhuman thing, which really happened with Bengal, is still being followed by your sorrows, by your sufferings, by your bloodbath, by your constant cruelty and facing each other's. The problem is there is one more important thing which you are missing out, is the family bondage has broken. There are a lot of other conflicts which come up and took part into your life, and altogether you are in a situation where you cannot come back from that particular thing. So given the situation, this is the age from where, again I will come back to my last sentence, that how come Bengali can come back to its own roots. The only way is simply to think about your forefathers. How do they survive in this country? How do they survive in this land? And if you are one of them, they who really had to come back from one particular land because of the situation, because of the separation of the countries, and they also could think about their forefathers. What was their actual livelihood? How did they do? If you remember that, you can connect with yourself. And if you can find your root, then you are actually a living person. This is what is my opinion. And for that takes me back to my village. And I hover from one to another. I take a bike and then I ride and then I travel from here to there. I really find a kind of mental peace out of that, that I can connect with the root. And that is something really very important for each and every person, for us. Otherwise, we cannot save our favorite nation. We cannot save our language. We cannot save our nothing, our culture, nothing. That is what is my earnest request to you. Thank you, Anivitra, for
Well,
giving me the opportunity to talk about this.
no, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. I do have the last question to you. The last question. That means the word struggle, we do prefer to run away from the word struggle, and in its place, escapism and defeatism has engrossed our Indian conscience. Do you think so? We are engrossed by defeatism and escapism.
One word I found that was escapism. The other one was
Defeatism. Defeatism.
uh, these things are really the once I was telling about that everyone is born with a stick at some every person's hand. Yes, these two things has become a kind of character of this particular nation. Once we were, when I was very young, much younger then, 20 years before, it was like 2002, I reached up to Europe for my job. And I was like 21 years before, I was more younger and I was more energetic. And what I found is that every person is concerned about his or her own work or education or everything. Everyone is kind of not interested about what is going on in somebody else's life. Here the problem is basically, the every person they have no social life, they have no social interaction, nothing. They have all together, they have what they have is that they are all the time constantly looking after at how they can connect with the other scandals. These things are becoming the social issues, and that is making the most cheapest part of the whole thing. Do you know one important statistics I have seen that the most of the Bengalis, do you know what is the visitors of the porn sites in Bengal from Bengal? Number one. Bengal is in number one. And that is a kind of matter of shame that why the young generation, which generation, I don't know, or the entire generation watches the things. Well, and that can make a yardstick of the nation, that how it goes on, which way it's being driven on. And the two words you used are perfectly, correctly, appropriately mentioned, is my opinion, same as you think so.
Last question, sir. Last question. Last question. What is the fate of the future generation then? What's the posterity? Does the future generation have any hope, or it's completely hopeless situation? Last question, sir.
I cannot get you good, Anivitra. Can you please repeat it?
Well, just listen. My question, the last question is, what's the lot of the next generation then? Is there any hope for the future? Do we have any future at all?
Thank you very much. Well, if this is the last question, then we have been already discussing about the future generation and the generations to come and what is going to be the heck for them. Well, I think there should be a major change and major shift, but society doesn't move like that if there is no particular reason for that. Well, I'm a very positive person, so I like to think there will be some changes in the society, and that will make the change in the generations to come. Mostly the generations which are waiting, they were going to be voters in another 1 year or so. They are the important people, they who are supposed to decide about what is going on. But I have observed that there are some changes into the thought process of the young generation. So far, it is concerned me. I've seen that. It's good. I think it is a good way.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alimitru, and thank you, Bengal volunteers, all the members of the Bengal volunteers, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk in this valuable platform. I would like to share it with my other friends from India and abroad. I mean, Bharat and abroad. I don't like to use the word India because it is not the appropriate name for Bharat Barsho. Thank you again, and hope to see you again in some other program pretty soon.
Good night, sir. Good night, sir. So, good night, everybody. There were some technical, good night, everybody. There have been some technical disadvantages. Again, we are sorry for that. It was not our intention to keep you waiting without sharing anything. Supriyo has a few problems, and I have some problems from him as well. But at the end of the day, it was definitely a good show. We had lots of questions to ask. We shared lots of views and everything, but lots are still remaining to be answered at this end. The coming days are very, very tricky for us, even more for the future generations to come. We do not know how much serious are we even of our own works. Are we serious for them? We are serious. Seriousness must reflect it in daily lives. The pages and the comments and the posts of social media. Unfortunately, we prefer to be carefree and appear to be frivolous to others, to our opponents. And that makes us inadequate, weak, fearful, escapist. We must get rid of this escapism to re-emerge once more. And unless we re-emerge, we do not have any future. But to speak of the other generations, or the generations that are going to come in the centuries to come. Thank you very much for being with us on this show. Thank you.